In this video, we're going to be going over the modulus operator. This operator can be found in all different types of programming languages, basically in every single one. It's normally represented by the percentage sign, like that. And what the basics of this is whenever you go to do a division, when you divide by int, you may have a remainder. So normally in Python, when we do a division with two ints, such as 10 divided by 5, and we print that out, you see this has a 2.0 on the end. That means that Python's automatically converting this to a float. However, as shown before, if we do two division signs, this is actually a integer division. So next time we only get the value 2, and this is because this is actually casting this to an integer as well. Now, when we divide something that's not even, let's say 6, when we print this out now, we get the decimal representation again, 1.6 repeating. But now let's do an integer division with this that's not even, correct? Now with this we get 1. Now you might be wondering, why do we get 1? Well, this is because when we divide 6, what we do is we take the 10 and we try to put 6 into it. So it goes in one time, and then we have 4 more remaining. And now we try to take another 6 and put it in, but we only have 4 remaining and left in the queue, right? So what happens is we only get this 1, and now there's a remaining of 4 left over. So when we use the modulus operator with this same operation, instead of getting the 1, we get the 4. Now there's a built-in function to get both at the same time, and that's div mod. So again, if we want to do 10 divided by 6 and we print this out, we get a tuple back. And this is what the division is, and this is what the mod operator remainder is. So this is the same thing as if we were to do a printing of a tuple, and the first value being 10 integer divided by 6, and we did 10 mod 6. And I can see we get the same exact answer. So this modulus operator can be used in a whole bunch of different applications. It's not the most common thing, but it definitely can be used in a lot of things. So the first thing we might want to do is just check if a number is even or not. So let's go ahead and make a function called isEven. And I'm going to pass in an integer here for x. And we're just going to return x mod 2. And the reason we're doing mod 2 is because if we take, for example, 65 and divide it by 2, well, 65 divided by 2, and we can just print that out real quick, that's 32.5. And you see how we have this 0.5 remaining? On any odd number, doesn't matter what number it is, but any odd number, we're always going to have a 0.5 remaining. And this 0.5 is half of 2. So this way we can always check to see if the mod of this is equal to 0, then we'll know if it's true. So let's test this out. So if we do 109 mod 2, what do we get? We get 1. And remember before, 109 divided by 2 was actually 54.5. So we have this 0.5 remaining. Now let's change it to 110. And you see we get 0.0 remaining, and we get our 0. So now we can go in and use this function. We'll say isEven, and we'll pass in a few values here. We'll do 10, 11, 1902, and we'll do a big number here. That's odd. And when we print this out, you see we get true for 10, false for 11, true for 1902, and false for this big number that has a 1 on the end, so it's false. Now another great example that we can use is converting inches to feet. To do this, let's make a function. We'll call it into feet to ft for inches to feet, and we're going to pass in an integer. And now what we need to do is first we need to get the overall feet. So how can we do this? Well, let's go ahead and print out some things here. So let's say we want to convert 13 inches to feet. So if we do 13 divided by 12, what do we get? We get 1.083 repeating. Now this one remaining right here is actually the feet. So if we do 13 divided by 12 and get 1, well, we know that there's 12 inches in 1 foot. So how can we actually just get that 1? Well, remember before, if we want to chop off the remainder, we can do an integer division. And now when we do 13 integer division 12, we get just that 1. So that's going to be our feet. So if we do feet equals x integer division 12, and we return our feet, and then we print our inches to feet, passing in a value of, and we don't need a second print in there obviously, and we pass our 13 inches, well, now we get 1 foot. But when we normally convert things from inches to feet, we normally don't say 1 foot for 13 inches, right? We'd say 1 foot, 1 inch. So now we need to get the amount of inches. So how do we do that? Well, let's take a look back at the example that we had. 13 divided by 12. So now we need this part right here. And what do we need of this? We need how much of this is in 12, right? Because there's 12 inches in a foot. So to do this, now we can use the modulus operator. So if we do 13 mod 12, now what do we get? Oh, now we get 1. Since this decimal representation right here is 1/12 of 1, when we do the mod operator, we only get 1 back. And if we were to change this to 14, for example, we would get 2. So now that we know that inches, the inches left over, that's going to be the inches we passed in mod 12. And now we can return a tuple of feet and inches. And now when we do this again with just 13, we get 1 and 1. But we can print this out in a little bit better format using the F string that we learned earlier. So we can say feet as our variable, foot, and then we can say the inches variable, inches. Oops. Okay, so now when we print this, inches to feet, we get 1 foot, 1 inches. And of course, if you can go ahead and check if the inches is 1 or not. So we can say if inches less than 2, we can return almost the same thing, except we just say inch. And when we run this again, we'll get 1 foot, 1 inch. And if we run 14, we should get 1 foot, 2 inches, right? There we go. And if we run 24, that's exactly 2 feet, 2 feet, 0 inches. And for 0, we actually would want 0 inches, just the English formatting. So we'll go ahead and set this as a precisely equal to 1 inch. So now we get 0 inches. And 25 should be 2 feet, and we also want to do the same thing for foot, right? So we'll say, we'll do the feet first and then the inches inside of the foot. So we'll say if feet is equal to 1, we'll return this. Then we gotta say if inches is equal to 1, we gotta return this one. Oops. Now we can come down here and we can say another if in here. This is just for if we have feet that are more than 1, but our inches are still 1. So we can say if inches again is equal to 1. Then we want to return another one kind of like this. So we'll say feet, and this would just be inch. And if all of them are different, we'll say inches. So now when we say 25, we'll get 2 feet, 1 inch. And 26 will give us 2 feet, 2 inches. And that's all there really is for the modulus operator. Another common tool for this is, for instance, if you were iterating over some amount of rows in a list, you might want to do something with every other row. But yeah, in the next lesson, we're going to be going over enumerating over a list. So see you in the next one.